Good afternoon, this is Governor Albert Bryan, and we're down here in Freedom City, Frederiksted on Emancipation Drive, just to show you a little bit of what we're talking about with abandoned and derelict buildings and how we can improve our towns. Right on my side here is our governor for the day, Sacred Smith. She's from the Girl Scouts. She's joining me today. She's going to be going up and down with me. And then Shomari Moorhead, who is the president of Our Town Frederiksted, as we walk through and take this tour, as well as Meredith Nielsen from Our Town Frederiksted as well. Don't tell anybody this, but Frederiksted is my favorite town. It's laid out really well. There's a beautiful landscape in terms of being right on the seashore, and then all the streets and everything are so perfectly blocked out. But we got to do something about all of the stuff that we're seeing. How do we get back to preserving what was established by our forefathers and built by our foremothers so long ago, and at the same time making sure that we do it in a way that preserves the culture and the history and empowers our people with their property and provides home. So we're going to Frederiksted. Come on along with us. Let's check it out. Hey, good.
You looking for a place to stay?
No, we're looking at the buildings that we need to redo.
Tear it down.
No, I can't tear it down. But one thing you can see is the beautiful, rich architecture of Frederiksted. I want you to look at this building right behind me as we approach the spot where was Durand Tower. This is the beautiful architecture we're talking about that we want to preserve. You can see the Danish archways, all the brickwork that was done here, all the stone that came out of the coral reefs here surrounding the island. But imagine if this whole place was all rebuilt and all these places were habitable again. We were getting people from the islands to be able to live here and actually work and play in the town areas. It would be awesome. It wouldn't be awesome?
Yeah. Very awesome. Yeah. I used to hang out here. Loomis Bryan.
Who's this?
Loomis Bryan.
Loomis Bryan. So one of the things that we want to do, especially in our towns, using technology. Now you see that plaque there? Like that plaque needs to be maintained. It's hard to see. We want to be able to create an app now. So you could download the app when you come to the Virgin Islands. And every place you go that's historic, it will ping you, and it will the app, it'll pop up on the map and it'll tell you this is the home of Loomis Bryan. It's been here since 1867, and that's why it's historic. It'll tell you you're on King Street or you're on Strand Street. It'll tell you everything significant about that place, and it will also tell you you could get a nice smoothie down the road, so it produces economic benefit as well too. So those are some of the things that are in the works. Our first project is Frederiksted and Fort Christian in St. Thomas, trying to get people to use technology to bring our history to life. Now, we're approaching a very significant piece of property, and I know if you've been watching this when I was in St. Thomas, I showed you my old grandmother's house. This is the Durand Tower property. And those of you who know, when the Durand Tower was here in Frederiksted, the exact replica was in St. Thomas, in my grandmother's house. Now, years ago, I think it was 1996, Maryland took what was left of it and we had it cleaned out. But when you look here, this is what we're talking about. Beautiful architecture, nice stonework, but the property has fallen into the wasteland. So I don't know who owns, somebody keeps this clean. It ain't the government that owns this. Like it profane. You know, and it's one of the things that we heard when we were contemplating the property, the piece of legislation for derelict and abandoned building was, well, the government owns so many properties that they're not maintaining, but we don't have properties in town. You could look across the street again, it's another abandoned property. You could look and see what's going up to it. It don't look terrible, but it doesn't look good. Is this abandoned too?
The grocery store is, I don't know if the apartments are.
And this, you know who's the owner of this?
I do.
Yeah, we have it here.
Is it Trisha Johnson?
Yes.
Yes.
Some Johnson, yeah.
Oh.
It is. This, of course, you probably remember this is what it looked like.
Absolutely. I remember what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, this was bustling until...
I stopped at this grocery store and many are fed trying to get something to drink.
Exactly. This was busy for a long time.
So those of you who don't know, this is also the parade route for our St. Croix Festival. It used to alternate between here and Christianside. Now it's permanently in Frederiksted. Now look at this building. I call it the Little Bo Peep building, right? The Cinderella building. that Cinderella store used to be in the bottom now. And they did an awesome job restoring this piece of property. You know, I think this is a property that we actually try and buy. I think they had it for sale. And so we've been working on a project to reclaim at least one property. I want to do it in Frederiksted and rebuild it just to show people what we could do. And I think this was one of the properties that we were looking at to reclaim, because there's not a lot of these properties are actually for sale, you know. Like this is another one again.
You know what this building was used for? Let me give some historic perspective. Since this was the Union Building, AFL-CIO, this was a union hall where Raymond Pedro and those guys used to come to lecture. Then it turned into their quadrille. That's where the quadrille people played, not with Stanley, but the old-time musician. So it was a dance hall and a union place for union members to come and talk. And some politicians, instead of going to the bandstand, they came to what they call Cumberland Castle. And the name, the Cumberland Castle, is a very interesting name.
What's it, the Cumberland?
Cumberland Castle. So it was a union, it was owned by the union. AFL-CIO was not, it was AFL at the time. CIO came later on. And they own that building. What happened to it since then, it's very difficult to understand. The sad thing about this place is this is what Ingeborg Nesbitt grew up and lived.
Yeah.
And then all the Nesbitt,
The Ingeborg Nesbitt for the clinic.
For the clinic. And Dougie Nesbitt
And the clinic is named after her.
Everybody grew up right here.
Yeah.
This is truly a historic in terms of the person who actually grew up here, went to school, lived there after she became a nurse. And this is, it blows your mind. What do? You preserve it for historic and for sentimental reason, or you just say, to heck with it?
But this is one of those properties where you want to see it rebuilt in its full glory, right? Because the fascia is what's most important. I mean, behind that, you can have modern appliances, you can have air conditioning, but making it look how it would look before. And it's a big enough plot where you could actually create a couple of apartments or living spaces for people. So it actually goes to work. It just doesn't sit there. That's just something that we nice to say, oh, the Ingeborg and Nesbitt lived there. So, and it beautiful stairway.
Go beyond that.
I worry about the most, like the walls. Like there's so much repair. You can't go back to the coral reefs anymore and pick up quarry the rocks from there anymore. So how you get those back in good shape? But
according to historic preservation, they're not supposed to be exposed.
Oh, they're not supposed to be
It's
exposed.
supposed to be plastered because to preserve the rocks. The rocks are there for structural purposes, not for decoration.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now here's one of them that is a government property, right? This is Aldersville. That's what we're looking at the back of here,
Back
right?
of Aldersville.
So this used to be a senior senator working in Frederiksted, and we're looking for ways to finance its repair. Unlike most of our building, it was not in use during FEMA, so we don't have the money to readily just repair it, but it's a beautiful property, and it would be lovely to see it restored. They're here in Frederiksted. You know what this one too? I mean, this one is literally falling down. And this is another thing when we talk about abandoned and derelict. This is a hazard. Somebody's gonna fall on somebody, fall on somebody's car. It's just not a safe situation, and it needs to be rectified. So
this is one of those that I believe SHPO is. They're
paying for this.
I don't know if they're
the
paying for
grants?
it, but they're trying to get the building repaired. So the owner, I guess, wants to take the top down and rebuild it.
So, and I want to make it clear, right? The provisions of the legislation that we put forth only talk about the things and the buildings and the edifices or half edifices. Let me light this truck pass. They only talk about the ones that we're not able to figure out a way to help the whole owner to rehabilitate. So if you're an owner and you have full ownership of your property, we have certain grants and monies that are going to become available to help you restore your property. If your property is secure and it's not a threat to anybody or anything, the state has no right to interfere with you and your property. But if you want to fix it and you have full rights and title, then you can fix it. So something like that, like we would be able to help the owner either finance the grant, finance the legislation, finance the loan, or support a grant to help get it back to restoration. Now, we haven't traveled about a block and a half, and you see the amount of abandoned and derelict buildings that we've already encountered, you know. Good afternoon. That's to show the severity of the problem. And when we thought about the legislation, specifically, it was designed for Frederiksted because there are just so many buildings here that we have that are abandoned or derelict. Let's see. So what are we bumping up on now? What's this?
This is the unknown. Not to reveal my age, but this has been this way since I was about 6 years old.
Wow.
Okay? Wow. My great-great-grandmother used to live in there.
What are you making now, about 44?
Yeah, no, a little bit more. But it's just the idea that it has been there. Nobody does anything. Nobody knows anything about it.
Yeah.
Or nobody shows any interest in it. It opens a Pandora's box of discussion. What can we do?
So this is our hurricane.
Yeah, took the roof off. And
Got some damage after the hurricane. I think they looted it.
yes.
And you could see when you look at the roof, right? You could see the difference in the hurricane, right? You could look at the rafters. Those rafters are 36 and center. Now they have to be 2 foot and center. And then you could see the steel running that obviously not through the rafters like it is supposed to be now. Happy Friday, good to see you, bro. All right, take care. The other thing I want you to see is just like what we were looking at in Savan, we could see the amount of commerce that is going on. Here you have a restaurant, you had a union hall,
used to build coffins downstairs.
coffin maker,
Yep.
you had the union hall, you had a sewing store, you had at least 2 nightclubs, night hall types of scenarios. So it was a lot of bustling activity in downtown Frederiksted. So, I mean, all of that has been lost. I mean, 2 of the grocery stores we just passed within a block already shut down. You know, as we move back here on the walk, we're moving towards what used to be the pharmacy down here in Frederiksted. You know what's interesting? A lot of these buildings that doesn't present an immediate hazard or anything to anybody. We just need a little bit of paint. Looks like even people live in this building. But downstairs, a lot of the commercial establishments that used to exist years ago don't exist now. And this is a beautiful building. Of course, you see it's been ravaged by storm, but obviously the owner is securing the building to the best of their ability, try to keep out vagrants, but it's going to continue to fall apart. Beautiful, beautiful building. I think it's a Joseph family owned this here. No, I like this street too because this is a view of what can be. I know Mr. Benjamin House in the pink.
Right.
And there's another house right up the street that was developed, of course, a purple house. There's a lot of urban development going on. So when we talk about doing something, like these are good places to start where you could already see people investing. You just bring it down the street more, you get this fixed up, this building here. And all these places are, opportunities for people to live.
Yeah.
Then we have a fire station. They're scheduled for significant overhaul with FEMA funds. Frederiksted is ripe for this kind of development, getting people back in town and living in.
So here's a secret. This was supposed to be Napoleon's Pizza.
When?
They brought this back years ago.
Oh, that's before they bought the spot on the front.
They started fixing this up maybe 20 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
That's an interesting name for a bar, highly intoxicated.
And the street is filled with water.
And that's another thing in terms of ordinances. Some of the things we need to figure out where we want them. We did a beautiful development here on Queen Street, and the homeowners are in constant contact with the government about the noise, the garbage, because when you have that kind of activity all night long, the trouble and the fights, you get up in the morning, your whole street is littered with trash. We could designate certain parts of the district just for that type of activity, but you You want to promote home ownership, you can't have that. Now, this is a beautiful property here. Meredith, what's this? What happened to areas?
Yeah.
What's this?
We have that in our list, Mr. President, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one that we're looking at, trying to get
Yeah.
funding to renovate.
This is for sale?
Somebody bought it recently. It was for sale for a while.
This is a nice place.
Yeah, see the Ford Steel South Shore in the corner?
It's always so nice when you walk the streets and you meet people, you know? Especially my seniors, they want the retro money. Money talk, everything else talk. But I mean, it's just, I mean, you could go to certain part of this beautiful town. I mean, this is just laid out so well. There's still no one-ways in Frederiksted except for that little piece on it.
Just that little piece on the water on bottom.
That's Kenny Fulton, Kenny. Kenny built a big that day. You got no one way. And you look at it, it says beautiful. You got parking on both sides of the street. And beautiful, beautiful stuff. But once again, trash, urban decay.
But it's also these rocks that are just cool.
Yeah.
It'd be.
And all we need, I think all we need for these, right, what I would like to see, is just permission to clean them. Because once you clean them out, then you produce extra parking. Yeah. Some green spaces. No, this is American Legion Hall. Somebody's keeping this nice and clean. Probably them, huh?
Yeah, so this is their property.
Or the entire thing.
Yes, they own both pieces. Meredith, confirm, was this the Covenant?
This was the convent for St. Patrick's School nuns. For those of you who went to St. Patrick's, probably visit here several occasions.
They sold it?
No, it just sits there, belongs to the church, and the church has no interest in it.
And you can see this excellent work here. So the government is invested in the towns as well too. We have a number of funds that are dedicated, especially in the town of Frederiksted, that I made sure, because what's happening, if you look down through these grates, the guts flow under the sidewalk, but they've been built so long ago that the forms that they use to keep the sidewalk up, all the wood and the metal is dropping down and is blocking the guts. So we have a project redoing these surfaces, and of course we're here in front of St. Patrick's Church. This is my church. Both my kids were baptized here. I was married here as well too. So getting this done is important. And a number of our churches have a problem with the grates and the sidewalks, as well as in our downtown areas. And if you could look down to, you can see the renovation of Lagoon project. This is a project that is being generated and run by the Housing Finance Authority. They've been working on renovating all of this. So all of these units will be renovated, new windows and stuff. Of course, the patching and the painting should be done. I wish we had done it in glass, but that was a contention of the historic preservation. They wanted to make sure it looked like how it looked long ago. So we still have these iron louvers, but great project for the town of Frederiksted. So as we, come to the close of our tour, I wanted to be sorely evident that it's not just about the abandoned and derelict building. It's about a town plan. It's about the government investing in not only buildings and roads, but also in our children. This is what we did together. The community park here in Frederiksted, Midre Commons. And you can see this beautiful establishment. That's the government working with a nonprofit and the entire community coming together to build something so beautiful for our children. Complementing it is our historic fort, Bordeaux Park, where we can see how we're renovating and keeping our history alive all at the same time. So historical and modern. At the same time, you can look down and you see the basketball courts and the tennis courts that we redone, but people enjoy, followed by the pavilions, and of course, the ever memorable peaks of the new Poly Joseph Stadium. Working with people like Our Town Frederiksted and you, we can make it a reality in all of our towns. But the one thing we have to do is we have to get together. We have to do something. So it was really enjoyable taking this, and what a I gotta spin you around so you can see the other side, you see the park come alive in our history and all of its splendor. This is what we deserve. This is what it should look like. But we can only get there if we work together.